3, 2, 1. Boom! We're finally here.
We've finally made it.
We're finally here. Sugarmill Slim, thanks for being here and doing the podcast. We've been talking about this for months. I'm so happy that you're here.
Oh my gosh, Gail. Yeah, thank you so much for having me out. It's been a long time in the making.
Yes, 100%.
Really, really cool.
So,
I know.
the first time you had to reschedule, you had to do a show. How was the show?
It was actually really good. It was at Old Town Blues Club in Temecula, and we play there pretty often. Probably like once every 2 months or something, and it's wonderful. It's just like it's an older crowd, probably like people 50 and older, and they just come out and they have their week. They get super drunk and they vibe out.
Yes.
And it's great. We play for like 4 hours, and the tips are really wonderful, and people buy a lot of it's just there's a really cool like blues fan base in Temecula, which you wouldn't expect necessarily. Okay. But yeah, it was really fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And Slim, you play there's one thing that I admire. That's a musician is one, but second is a harmonica player.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my gosh, you are fucking amazing.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Jeez.
Thank you very, very much. I've been playing long enough that I better be passable at the very least.
How long have you been playing for?
I've been playing 20 years now.
Jeez.
Since I was really little. And
really?
I picked it up when I was really little. My dad bought me a harmonica. So my granddad originally played harmonica, and my dad, I think, wanted to like pass the torch in some capacity. So he bought me one. And I spent just all my like junior high and high school and early 20s just sounding really, really bad for a long time. And then I found out you got to buy different keys to play in different songs. So my dad would buy me different keys. And I remember specifically there was a point where it clicked for me where I was listening to this Bob Dylan song. It's called Leopard Skin Pillbox Hat. And I was playing along with it, and I picked up a D harmonica, and all of a sudden it clicked. Like it was the right key. Like it was the first time I'd ever like actually figured out how to play in the right key. And that kind of unlocked it for me. And so then I just started. Once I knew like what I was listening for, I could tell when a harmonica was in the right key or when it wasn't. And I find it very fitting that like the song that finally got me into harmonica is a song about a fashion accessory. It's called Leopard Skin Pillbox Hat.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that was Bob Dylan.
It was Bob Dylan, exactly.
Really?
But that was, probably when I was towards the end of high school. And I really figured it out after probably playing it for like, I don't even know, 10 years at that point.
And what kept you going?
Wanting to do it. I think so. I think I really wanted to play. I knew I wanted to play music from a really early age, probably when I was like, even before my dad bought me a harmonica. He also bought me a pair of drumsticks. I knew I wanted to play music because I saw Yellow Submarine, the Beatles cartoon movie.
Oh, yes.
And I just became obsessed with the Beatles. And I thought they were the coolest thing. And I would see all their movies and like buy like calendars of the Beatles and put all sorts of Beatles posters up on my room. And I was obsessed with them. So I knew I wanted to be like them and I wanted to play music. So they bought me, didn't buy me a guitar because that was too expensive, but they bought me a pair of drumsticks and like a $5 harmonica. And I just knew that I wanted to keep playing music and do that, as much as I possibly could. So even though I wasn't sounding good, I think it was just pure like determination. Plus I had a lot of free time, like a lot of, when you're that age, like, it's either you go do cool things with your friends, and as someone who is like a weird little person, I didn't have many friends, so I just holed up in my room and practiced. Essentially, that was really what it was.
It's so crazy how timeless the Beatles are.
Yeah, it's
Like who else holds up to that?
I don't know that anybody in
Decades after. It's wild to me. It's just crazy.
I'm deeply suspicious of people when they say that they don't like the Beatles. Like
I can't trust you.
No, I just can't.
That's right.
Certainly can't. Like any musical opinion that they have, I won't trust. But then as like a human being, I'm like, I don't know. You're like suspicious.
We went to Japan in November, and there was a Beatles cafe, and there's like a bunch around Japan. And it was like, we didn't even know that that's what was going to be there. We went to go see something else. And then we're like, let's go in this cafe.
Oh my
and when we went in, we're like, there's Beatles playing. And then we started looking at signs and things. And then we saw the name and we're like, holy shit.
Oh my God.
It's really cool. Yeah.
What's it called? Do you
Penny
know?
Lane.
Penny Lane. Oh, how perfect.
Yeah. And they have these cafes around the world too, right? It wasn't just Japan.
I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe you're right.
From what I remember, they have these little cafes.
Oh my gosh.
Penny Lane, like
that's amazing.
all around the world.
Yeah.
Except for here.
Except for here. Yeah.
That's ridiculous. Oh my gosh. No, Japan is like one of my top travel destinations, honestly. So I really want to go. And now I have another reason to go. This is amazing.
Absolutely.
Really
my
cool.
God. No, it's true though. Like their music is, you can still put it on and it's still like, there's very little that's dated about it, I think. Like the songwriting is so good. The performances are so good. They also had like the benefit of being like recorded better, I think, than most other groups at that time. Like they had like the highest fidelity production, which I think makes their recordings like still sound like super fresh. Plus they were like super innovative, so they weren't doing anything before. Like they didn't really do fads or trends. They set fads.
Yeah,
and
they set it, right?
So,
Did you find it? Is that it?
I did, but
Oh, there it is.
see, these are some of the.
Is that the one in Japan? Well, there was several
couple
in
in
yeah, there
Japan,
were
yeah.
several in Japan.
oh my gosh, so it's kind of like a chain.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like tavernesque. Like I don't know how to explain, but it's a bakery.
How
It's kind of odd, but it was kind of cool. And they had everything like I think we brought like napkins and like a sugar, what is it called, like a sugar cube, right? But it was in like a peace sign and everything was I
Yes.
don't know. Japan just does everything better.
That's amazing. Oh my God. They have like, are they like Beatles themed foods?
Yeah, a lot of it is, and then it's even like branded. You know, you can brand like bread and things like that.
Right,
so it
absolutely.
has like the peace sign
oh
and
my
stuff like
God.
that. Yeah.
Peace sign, the silhouettes of them on Abbey Road,
What?
the Yellow Submarine.
I wonder what the why did they do like not why, right? Because obviously we're saying like the Beatles are timeless, but
Yeah.
I wonder what the
what the impetus for this was.
yeah for like a bakery.
I'm really curious. It's so interesting. Yeah. There's not like an inherent bakery Beatles tie-in or something like that.
Yeah.
It's not like or unless we don't know like the
Unless we
Beatles
have-
were huge. I don't know,
Like
croissant
bakers.
fans or
Yeah,
something.
exactly. Just big bread fans.
That's all they ate. They were on a bread diet.
Little known fact, their original name was the Brettles. No, sorry. Good night.
Amber, can you look that up, please?
That was a good one.
Usually when people ask me, when they ask, do you like the Rolling Stones or do you like the Beatles?
Mhm.
I ask them, no, that's not the question. The question is, do you like John or do you like Paul?
Oh, that's a really good question. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, what's your take on that?
I like John Lennon.
You like John Lennon?
I like him as a frontman. However, they're both great, 100%. And together,
Mm-hmm.
of course, you couldn't have great music
Of
without the
course.
both of them. But I lean towards a little bit John Lennon.
I totally feel that. For me, John Lennon is, I like how honest, how like straightforward he is with his songs. How like, I don't know, he has like a quote that I think it's like David Bowie is asking John Lennon, like, how do you write a song? And John Lennon's like, it's easy. You just say what you mean and you put a backbeat to it. And that's what John Lennon's songs sound like. He's just saying what he means. Whereas Paul McCartney has like this mastery that borders on like almost like a Stephen Sondheim or a like one of the great American songbook style songwriters. It's just this mastery of songwriting. Some of his like key changes, some of his chord sequences are just like, how did he think of that? It's just it's so creative. It's so creative in the same way that John Lennon is so like bare bones and raw, and both of them excel, and they're some of the best at that. It's interesting. They're very different songwriters, and I think that's one of the things that makes that
Absolutely,
band
100%.
so powerful.
I can only imagine if John Lennon, actually would have, stayed alive, or how much he would have, advanced rock and roll, or what kind of albums he would be, pushing out today.
Be really, really curious, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. He's so much more like, not that there's one or the other, but what is that? So, there's the album John Lennon and the Plastic Ono Band. Have you ever heard the corresponding almost sister album, which is Yoko Ono and the Plastic Ono Band?
I haven't.
It's the same musicians. I think it's even recorded in the same sessions.
Ooh.
It's a very similar album cover, but their positions, Yoko and John's positions, are switched. But the music is this ridiculous, far out, free jazz style, atonal kind of thing. And it's just so cool to me that like John Lennon, like the leader of the biggest pop band in the world, who while they were still at like their peak of popularity and influence, chose to go down this very anti-commercial route. I think that's so badass.
Okay, I see what you're saying. So at the height of his popularity, he didn't play music for, I guess, for the popular version. He played music that he wanted to share with people, and he wanted to spread love and all this knowledge to his fans.
Yeah, and by being true to himself.
Right.
Like not compromising any part about himself. And I think that's real. And then to be as successful as he was without compromising himself, I think is something that anybody in like some sort of artistic field should, reach for.
Yes.
To some extent.
Have you heard of the Paul is Dead?
Yes.
Conspiracy?
Oh my God.
What do you think about that? What's your thoughts?
Oh my God. I went so deep with that one.
Did you really?
Oh my God. Oh, it's so great. There's so many like little clues, like on the back of Abbey Road, there's like the license plate that says 28 if or whatnot. I don't know. I mean,
They're fun.
They're fun. And you know something? If there was somebody I'm not saying it is true or that I believe it, but the only people that could have pulled that off at the time were the Beatles. Maybe Elvis, but like I don't think like nobody else could have like gotten away with being like, oh, we're gonna just swap in this other random guy and give him plastic surgery to make him look like Paul McCartney, and that's why we're not playing live anymore,
Yeah.
And then also drop in a bunch of little clues too. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying, again, I don't think it's necessarily true, but I could if it was anybody good that was going to do it, it would be the Beatles, and it's just fun.
Yeah, it's all fun and games.
I love that.
The first time I ran across that was I was doing some research in college. I think our professor wanted us to write a thesis on like, it was persuasive writing.
Oh.
And my subject were like the conspiracy theory of Elvis faking his death.
Oh yeah, that's another good one.
Oh yeah, so when along all that research, I came across this one, and that's before I ever became like a huge Beatles fan. Like, I like the Beatles, but not as much as I do now. After that, I kind of like left it behind my mind for a couple of years, and I want to say that was around like 2010, and then around 2012, 2013, like a couple of years later, that's when I like threw myself at the helms of the mastery that is the Beatles, the Fab Four.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and then I started going down that rabbit hole. I went down it for years, but it's fun.
What are some of the things that feed into the conspiracy that Elvis is still alive or that he faked his own death?
There's a lot. He went into the witness protection program from the CIA. He was a CIA informant He was a CIA informant. He was also a DEA informant.
Oh my gosh.
You got to remember that Elvis Presley was super intrigued by the police. He wanted to be a cop. Like,
right.
There was even this weird secret meeting that he had with Richard Nixon in the White House. Yeah, it was just all these different things.
That's insane. And then there's like sightings of him.
Sightings. There was the sighting a day after. It was just the day after. There was even, maybe we can pull it up, Amber. There was a picture of him, like an older looking Elvis with like a beard, white hair at Graceland.
What?
And somebody snapped a photo and said that there's two pictures. There's that picture with him. Oh, it's right there. You see that one?
Oh
Which
my
one?
God.
The bottom all the way to the right. Yeah, that one.
Oh my God, I could totally
Select
see
that one.
Stop. Stop. Oh my God.
This poor man is probably just like.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
His name is like Bruce. He's just like, what? I'm not Elvis. What the hell? Oh my God.
Yeah. So there's that footage. There's also some footage of somebody recording, I guess, in the pool house a few years after he died. That there was like a silhouette of like the profile of his face.
Oh my gosh.
That he was just hanging out in the pool house watching everybody pass by Graceland.
Gosh, that's crazy. I mean, who's to say it's not his ghost? Even?
Yeah.
I mean, that could be.
Yeah, it's super wild. But the CIA one is crazy because he wanted to be a cop. He wanted to be part of law enforcement.
Wow.
He actually did, follow some crime ring and I'm not too sure, but some state. But the mafia was involved, and that's why he had to fake his death to get him out of that, because they found out that Elvis actually really was onto them.
I love these kinds of things, like conspiracy theories in general. I can go so deep with these things. Oh my gosh, there's like or like one of my favorite things is to watch like fan theories of different movies.
Oh yeah, those are awesome.
Like there's one. Do you know Snowpiercer? Do you know that movie?
I don't.
It was this movie did you see Parasite that came out a few years ago?
Yeah.
So the director of Parasite did another movie called Snowpiercer a few years ago. It's this like post-apocalyptic movie where everybody's living on a train, and essentially the conspiracy theory / fan theory is that Snowpiercer is a sequel and it's this really dark dystopian movie, right? Okay, yeah, exactly. This thing. This is supposedly a sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
What?
Yes, and it's crazy if you look at the parallels of all the there's like you like that woman there in the white there, who's played by I can't remember her name, but she's amazing. That's Veruca Salt.
I was gonna say as a Veruca.
Yeah, and if you first of all, this movie's amazing. I love Snowpiercer. Second of all, the theory that this and Willy Wonka are connected is so cool to me. I don't know. It's so fun. I love little like theories like that you can just like get all like X-Files on and whatnot. I love that. Oh my gosh.
That's cool. Now there's another movie we have to watch.
We got to put on the list, Amber.
Yes.
Definitely. It's intense. It's based on a graphic novel.
Oh,
and it's really cool. Talk about another one, like compromise one. I think it was like there was some studio exec that wanted like major edits to this movie, and Bong Joon-ho was like, "No, I'm not gonna do that." And then this movie didn't get the theatrical release that it deserved. It only really played in like smaller art house theaters or whatever. But it was supposed to be a big production. It is a big production. It's supposed to get a big release because it's what's his face from it's Captain America.
Yeah. Duh, it's Captain America.
And
exactly.
then also this lady right here, I can't remember her name.
Yes, exactly.
She does a lot of movies.
Octavia Butler.
Octavia, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
No, Octavia Spencer.
Octavia Spencer. That's it. Octavia. Yes. And so it was supposed to have this huge release, but it didn't get because they wouldn't compromise and make the edits.
Isn't that wild how much power somebody has like that?
Oh my God, it's insane.
And especially with film can make or break or turn points in culture, right?
Absolutely. Like a movie can like we're seeing it with Barbie now. Like Barbie is massive, like this, I think, like huge influence on our culture right now, and will probably be that way for a while.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? What were your thoughts?
I loved it.
I really liked it too.
I really, really liked it. I mean, it's silly, it's campy, and like there's like I guess some plot holes, but like overall, like as like the message of the movie and the execution of it and just the production of it is just, I mean, I saw it, I've seen it twice and I cried my eyes out both times.
Yeah, it was a really good movie. The message was refreshing because they're I mean, come on, we got to be honest that the only films that are getting box office hits right now are MCU movies.
It's true.
They're all Avengers and Iron Man and
Very
that good stuff. But it was a refreshing type of movie to come out.
I totally agree. Like it didn't feel like anything else that's been released in. However, I can't think of the last time I saw a movie like that.
And I honestly thought like that the movie, like my thoughts, like I had no idea what the kind of like basis of it was, right? Mm-hmm. I just thought Barbie. But I really thought, I was like, oh, I hope this thing doesn't set us back.
Yes, absolutely.
Like where it's just too like girl, like and again we were talking about this before, where I like I'm girly, but I also have like, that side like somewhere in the middle. And I was like, okay, Barbie, like don't put us back anyway.
Exactly.
And I think it was just really well made. And I think that like the message was great. I really enjoyed it. I did.
I really, really enjoyed it. Definitely.
Talking about like movies or things that can kind of like make it or break it, like even for actors, right? Like you can go from doing something really good and then you get one movie and it like breaks like your entire career. I watched Showgirls.
Oh, I don't know this one.
No? Okay, do you know Saved by the Bell?
Of course.
Okay, so you know Jesse?
Yeah, absolutely.
So after Saved by the Bell, she did a couple other little things, and then she did this movie called Showgirls.
Oh.
And she comes from like the Midwest, and she comes to Las Vegas, and she wants to dance, like be like a professional dancer.
Okay.
And then she falls into like stripping.
Oh.
And it's like a whole thing on there. So this movie, when she did it, they had said like, this is gonna be like your breakthrough, like role, and it's gonna everything,
like launch their career.
And it went completely the opposite.
Oh my
because she comes out fully nude.
Oh,
and she does
wow.
like, I mean, I don't want to say raunchy, because it's what what's portrayed and what they're doing.
Absolutely.
They're dancing. But for its time, because it came out in the late 90s, I want to say. It like tanked her career.
Oh, was it because of the overall film, or was it just bad writing? It was just
it wasn't a bad movie.
Bad taste.
So the movie holds up. That was going to be my question.
Yeah. I think it was like it was her. It was that she like came from like being wholesome, like a teenage show,
right,
to now she was fully nude and like things like that. I don't know. I that's what I know on it, and I know that after that movie, it like tanked her career completely.
It's interesting, like when I think, especially, and I think this is probably something particularly unique to actors, but probably musicians too. Like if an audience really knows you for one kind of thing, right? Like if they know you for a certain kind of character, and you become beloved as that kind of character, if you break out of that, audiences can go swing either way. They could like really like laud you and be like, oh my gosh, look at the dynamics that this actor has, or they could just absolutely despise it, and like people are like, oh no, it's I can't picture you in this role because of how this other character that I knew you as.
Right, because the audience is too conditioned and they're comfortable with what they have. They've seen somebody, for years or decades or whatever have you.
It takes a lot, I think, for any anybody attempting and anything artistic to like ride that line of like continuing to push yourself and progress and like expand what it is you can do. And I don't know, like I'm not I don't want to say that artists, because artists, I guess it becomes even harder when you do have a fan base, because initially you start doing something just because you love doing it, right? You love doing it. You're not necessarily caring about what other people think about it. But then when you start doing something and it becomes big enough that people are like really paying attention to it, all of a sudden you like, I imagine for a lot of artists, you start feeling like, oh wow, now I'm having to do this for them too. I'm having to consider how they're going to think about this. And I don't know, the really successful artists seem to, I think a lot of the time it's about playing the long game, and you don't even, I'm rambling on here.
No, I
go for it.
I understand what you're saying.
I mean, we can go ahead, Amber, because I have...
No, because I was going to say, like, that's kind of like, I guess a question too that I had, or like a thought was like when does it become, right, like performing, right? Whether it be on the screen or like, playing an instrument or anything, right? Any type of art. Like, when is it too much to where you're not being true to who you are, right? And you're tailoring yourself more for the audience and for what you think they might want to see, or you think they might want to hear, or like is that something that you've ever gone through where you kind of are looking into consideration of that, or you do what you want to do and whoever follows type of thing?
I think for me it's something like, I know that, so I know if I'm playing a certain kind of show, like if I know if there's going to be a lot of families there or kids there or whatnot, I want to be respectful of kids all the time. So I will tailor my performance to be respectful of like kids that are in the audience. With that being said, though, I feel like for me as a performer, I'm going to just be me and do what I want to do. And people that like what I do will follow me, or if, you know, they will come with me on that journey because they like what I do and they recognize what I'm doing, I guess. And so I don't think about it. I only think about it in terms of, again, like I said, like I want to be respectful of like, because we play a lot of different kinds of shows. Sometimes it's a bar from like 11 to 2 in the morning. Other times it's like, a park or something, or like there's like a lot of, like we played on the bridge in Pasadena a few weeks ago, and that was daytime, lots of families and lots of kids there and whatnot. I want all of them to have a good time and not like necessarily be exposed to something that they shouldn't be, or that would make them feel uncomfortable. That's the only time I ever think about it. Otherwise, I'm just going to be me and do what I do because, and also I'm not at a point necessarily now where I have like these hundreds of, I'm not playing the Eras tour or whatever, right? Like I don't have that kind of following yet where I have to think about that. I'm lucky in that way.
But I think it comes out more genuine when you're yourself, right?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, of course.
Instead of trying to tailor for the masses, because I mean, there's someone for everything.
Exactly.
There's a crowd for everything, and if you're yourself, then
Absolutely.
And sometimes that's the hardest too, to find your audience, to find your people, to find your tribe, to you have this art that you just want to share with the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And once you get your people that, love it for what it is, it's hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's hard to do that.
It takes a long time.
Yes.
To do that, to find, and sometimes it's just, I think for me and my band, it's just been about like playing as many shows as possible. We've played a lot over the last 3 years or something, and it's just been sort of a numbers game to some extent. Like we've just been playing. Like I said, we played Temecula probably once every 2 months. We played there over the last 3 years, probably like a dozen times.
Whoa.
nice.
And we built up a little audience there. Same thing with this bar that we play in Santa Barbara. We've played there enough times now where like our people come out and like they love it and they're there for it and they buy the merchandise and they sign up for the email list. But we wouldn't have built that following if we just hadn't done it, made that drive all the way up to Santa Barbara, however many times, knowing that it's a numbers game, knowing that it's going to happen eventually.
Right.
I think for us. And that's always been my philosophy, I think, when it comes to building a following and getting people to hear you and discover you or whatever. Of course there's like people that like break out, like all of a sudden, like it seems like it was,
But does it happen that way?
I don't. I think there's like people. Of course, yes. There's viral successes, but there's a lot of work that goes into like a viral success.
Right.
Absolutely. So I don't think that. I think the idea of an overnight success is kind of a myth.
Is it? I think so.
I think there's always a ton of work, ton of heart and passion that went into it.
The more I talk to artists, the more I talk to musicians, that's what I find out, that you guys are some of the hardest working people on this planet.
We love doing it, I think, is really what it comes down to. So, it feels, I don't want to, like, there's, the other myth is that, like, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. I don't think that's the case at all. I think you definitely it feels like hard work, but it's hard work that you love doing.
Yes, 100%.
And so I think the musicians and artists who do it long enough are doing it that long because they love doing it.
Right.
Like I love performing. It's like my like literally like it's the best high and best like endorphin boost I could possibly describe to somebody, and it's such a steep drop off from it when I'm done performing. Oftentimes I need to like have like some alone time after I'm done performing.
Really?
Because I'm just, it's such a like like just falling off like an endorphin cliff almost, right? Just come down and I'm not performing.
It's not like gradual. It's just like boom.
Yeah, it's just boom. Like
whoa.
Like for me anyway. And that's I'm sure it's very different for a lot of people, but I become very like not antisocial by any stretch, but I have to have like some decompression time.
But it also
that makes sense
because it also took so much from me, right? It like
absolutely
like that's kind of how I recharge, like as a person,
right?
If
exactly.
I have an event or I've talked too much or I just had a really long day where I conversated, I want to come back and I want to say nothing.
Absolutely,
I don't want to think. I don't want to talk. I just want to just be and breathe.
I guess it's different for me because like after I do a podcast or we do our open mics or I'm up there doing some comedy for a couple of minutes, it feels fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm just on this weird little high for hours.
Oh, that's
for
so
hours.
cool.
I'm just I can't sleep at night.
You
like
can
even
write it out.
Even when I know that a podcast was really good or we had a great conversation, I just want to sit on my computer and make clips and do all this and promote it as much as possible because I know how amazing and I know how much of a good time I had, and I just wanted to I want to share that.
That's amazing.
Even with the open mic, I was dead ass tired moving around for 12 hours, setting up, working the event, breaking down. It was exhausting, but it was amazing. Like it feels great. Like I can't wait for the next one.
I know. I totally relate to that. Like that exhaustion that does feel really good. Like you feel like you really put your all into something that you're really proud of. And you're tired, but like, oh my God, wasn't that worth it?
Yeah, I can't wait for the next one. Also, I want to do not my open mics, but I want to do other people's open mics. Like I want to go perform.
Yes.
That was one of the thing that I took away from this last performance and the last event. I got to get out more. I love stage time so much and I love hosting, but sometimes I don't give myself enough time to work on my craft.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Like I'm too busy hosting. I'm too busy moving parts. Amber, let's get the cables right, the mics or the levels, the this to that, change the camera 1, camera 3. Being a producer, I want to be a creator. I want to go up and just give my 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Give it my all, get some laughs,
right.
Make people smile, and then go home for the night.
I see. Absolutely. Like rather than having to be like put on, you're saying like rather than having to do the whole production, just really be able to focus on the performance part of it.
Yes.
See, absolutely. And those are two very different skills and require a lot of work, and they can often like they don't always they can get in each other's way sometimes.
Oh, 100%. Scott Dickers has this. He's a comedy writer. He writes comedy prose. He says that we have two brains in writing. We have our editor brain and we have our clown brain when you're in comedy.
Oh, wow.
Your clown brain, when you're writing, you sit down for 30 minutes, write out jokes. Yeah. Don't try to put them certain ways. Just even if you don't think they're funny, just write out your ideas because you're in your clown mode.
Right.
After your clown mode, you leave them there. You come back the next day or in the next couple of hours, and you turn on your editor brain,
Right.
and you start moving things around.
Oh, absolutely.
So I feel when I'm hosting these events, I'm in my producer brain.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, that's what I discovered over this past week. So
that's so cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited
it's
for
true.
you, though.
It's really true. And I just love writing. I think it's fun.
I'm excited to I would love to see some of your comedy. That
Thank
sounds
you.
so cool.
I'll send you some flyers
Please
when I'm
do.
working.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love people hearing about people's creative processes, because everybody has a slightly everybody's process is different, but there are parallels in a lot of people's process. Like for me, when it comes to writing music, I really related to what you were saying, where having your almost your creative brain and your editor brain, where my creative brain is about just taking out all the filters, right?
Yes.
Not being afraid to sound kind of bad, or not even thinking about sounding bad or good, just
Letting it out.
yeah, exactly. Just being
Letting it flow.
exactly. And then, stepping away from that. And sometimes I'll even think about it, especially if it's a song specifically that I'm writing, I'll come back to it later and almost think about it if it's somebody else's song, that I'm listening to. I'm okay, how could I make this better for this person?
Oh, okay.
How could
I like that.
I move things around, and it takes out the subjectiveness of it.
Right.
I can be more objective about it, if I'm thinking about doing it for somebody else.
Gotcha.
And then the benefit of it is then that it's still my song or whatever.
Yeah, and it takes out the ego, and it takes out the fear of, okay, I did this bad and I'm trying to correct it.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Okay.
I don't know.
I like that.
That's just my process, or at least it is at the moment anyway.
It changes, right?
Yeah, it definitely it changes. I like to think that it improves too.
Yes.
As the more with any practice, the more you do it, the better you get at it over time.
How long have you and your band been playing?
So we started in January. It was for my birthday. We started in January of 2019. And then, obviously we took a year off for the pandemic, but then we started playing again in June of 2021. So we've been playing pretty consistently since June of 2021. So I like to say 4 years minus a pandemic or two. And yeah, so I mean, when we started out, we primarily did covers because we had a gig booked and we didn't have any material, so we just had to learn a bunch of these old blues covers that I love and were really meaningful to me. And that's just how we started. We probably started with 10 or 12 songs and have just sort of built it from there, where now we have 4 hours of material.
Oh, nice.
Half of it's covers, half of it's originals. So that's just kind of how
would you describe to some of our listeners that haven't heard you, how would you describe what type of music do you and your band play?
I like to say it's Chicago blues with expertly applied eyeliner.
I like that.
That's how I say it is anyway. But it's Chicago blues, but delivered with a glam rock or proto-punk energy is kind of how I think about it. We always wanted to do, I started wanting it to be a blues band, but I didn't want it to be and this isn't a read on other blues artists, but I didn't want it to be just another dad rock band. And so we've always played it with our motto for a long time was "Don't hold back, baby." We're gonna go and play every show with all the intensity and energy, and the belief that if this was our last show, we would have no regrets. And so that's kind of the ethos I think that we've brought into it from the very beginning.
Whoa.
I don't know.
I like it.
I don't know. I was gonna say, does that sound conceited? I don't care if it
No.
sounds conceited.
No, absolutely not.
But that's always been like our intention is to play it with as much sincerity.
You have to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
I'm so, especially that I think if you're gonna go up and do anything,
Yes.
do it with all the passion and drive that you possibly can, because there's enough people out there doing it that don't bring that. So why be one of those other people?
Right.
Go like y'all are doing here, right? You can tell that you're doing it with passion and drive, and you're going for it. And I think if you're doing that, then you're light years ahead of like a bunch of other people doing the same thing or something similar.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I don't think I can do something that I can't give it 110%. Like if I can't give it 110%, I try not to do it.
I think that's a really good modus operandi. Like if you're not gonna really, really go for it, it's fine. Don't do it.
Right.
Not everybody has to do something, right? By that I mean like it's totally fine if you don't want to do something, some sort of endeavor.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to do it, give it everything you have.
I forgot who said this, but they explained like the way you live your life as like you're the main character of your life.
That's true.
Why not give the audience a show?
Yeah, absolutely. I certainly like when as a from a performer's standpoint, right? Like, and especially like in a musical context or like a band context, for a second, for 45 minutes to 4 hours, you're the main character in that space. Yes. Right? Like, especially if you're providing live music to somewhere, you are like the center, essentially. If you should be aiming to be the center of attention in that room. I imagine there is space for like really good bands who are meant to be background music. That's wonderful and that's noble, and I think that's fantastic. But even still, if that's what you're doing, if you're background music, if like at a wedding or something, right, bring it. You can still bring main character energy to that sphere. You're giving it your all, but you also know what you're supposed to be doing, which is be background music. I don't know, like you can still be both, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
How are you on stage? Like what type of preparation do you do before getting on stage? So are you the Slim that we're talking to now, or do you get into this other type of character?
So for me, Sugarmill Slim is very much, well, it's interesting. As I've gone through life, there's now been more of a melding of Sugarmill Slim, the character, and who I am, and just like talking to y'all.
Right.
But definitely when I started, I had to think of Sugarmill Slim as a separate person with different motives and different lifestyle choices and different almost beliefs a lot of the time, and desires, to really separate myself. Because, when I'm just hanging out with people, I'm pretty low key. I'm pretty like just, mellow and go with the flow. But I knew what kind of performer I wanted to be. So I had to think of Sugarmill Slim as like this other person, this like huge, big personality. And like, I will work extra hard to make sure everybody's paying attention to them. But as I've lived my life, I've kind of adopted a little more of those characteristics and like kind of melded that person. So now I like to think of Sugarmill Slim, the character, and who I am in real life as more unified, as opposed to like these disparate entities that they used to be.
Is it less exhausting?
It's, something, if anything, it's just made me, I think, work harder on stage and be a better performer now because I feel more like unified with that character. And now I feel like now I have more to say, because it used to be two entities separate. Now it's both of those. It's like, with your voices combined. Like now, yeah. now it's more. Now I can be more and say more and do more because all of that is there.
It's empowering, isn't it?
It's very.
It feels great.
Performing, I think. Oh my God, it's such an empowering feeling. And this is what I was saying a little while ago. Like, it is so empowering is exactly the word I would use for it. Like, you feel really in command of yourself. You feel really, especially if you're commanding an audience, you feel really just like, oh my gosh, all of these people are with me here. Yes. And you start to, and when it's really good, it's so empowering because not only you there experiencing this moment, your band is there with you and the audience is there with you, and you're all sort of starting to meld and become this big like rat king of human beings, is sharing this incredible experience, all feeding off of each other. I guess is kind of how I think of it.
Go ahead.
No, that was pretty much like everybody. All that energy is just like the audience is feeding the band is feeding the audience. It's this beautiful, like, empowering, and I don't know what the word is.
The synergy that's just in the room or wherever you are at.
The synergy is really, really big.
Yes.
Oh my God, it's the best.
I can't remember the first time I was on stage, but the first time that I actually went up and did a joke that I wrote, it was, first of all, going up to on stage and having everybody look at you and it's weird at the same time, but it's also like minor empowering because those people they're paying attention. They're stopping what they're doing. The 100 focus is on you.
Putting down their phones.
Yes.
Stopping their conversations.
Right.
It's all on you.
And the attention is there, but when you make them laugh and you make them smile, I'm saying from like a comedy standpoint, I was like, what the fuck?
What was
like the first time that I said something that I actually written and thought about, like it was great. Like I blacked out for a couple of seconds because I asked Amber, I was like, Amber, was it funny? Was it a good joke? And she was like, yeah, dude, like everybody they're laughing. And I thought about it on the spot and I had to go home. Well, that night, I was I hosting that night? That was like one of the first times that I hosted, right? So I did this ofrenda joke. I won't say it on here. You have to come to my show.
Okay, I was gonna ask what the joke was, but okay, we'll find.
But yeah, when I said it and I got the laugh, like I blacked out after the punchline, and it just this weird phenomenon just happened. It was just like the world got like fuzzy and it was just blurry, and from there I was just like what happened? Like it felt like somebody put their hands over my ears and like muffled my ears.
Oh my
because
gosh.
This experience was just so like it was different. Like it was just something literally happened, and then from there I was like, you know what, I think I'm gonna do this often because it was great.
How incredible. I love that. I totally I think I can relate to that to some extent. Like before like I started Sugarmill Slim, I used to go to these blues jams at this bar in Tarzana, and they like the way it would work was there'd be like two acts, right, that would perform, and then they'd say, okay, we're going to do the jam now. We're going to have like a house band come up, and anybody who wants to sit in can come sit in, and you would sign up. And they called my name, and I had my harmonica, and I'd been practicing a bunch, and they said, well, what do you want to do? And I said, I don't know. What do you, and they were used to harmonica players singing, which makes sense. Most harmonica players tend to like be a singer also. But I hadn't like prepped anything to sing. So I just called the first blues song that came to mind, and I called the key, and we did it, and it was great. And that was the first time I'd ever like not performed harmonica or performed blues even in front of an audience, but like it was the first time I'd like really committed to it, I guess. And there was this, I totally get it, like this almost like out of body experience when it went well. And I felt like so elevated and lifted and like, again, it's like this crazy high. Like and I remember driving home and like almost hyperventilating with like excitement because it's like, oh my God, that was amazing. And like the tiny crowd of 5 people were super into it. It was really, really, really cool.
I mean, basically, whether it's 5, and I tell Amber this all the time, whether there's 5 people in the room, 10 people, or 50, we have to give it 110%.
Absolutely.
Right.
That's the way to do it.
I use being on stage or being in front of people as just practice.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Practice for that big show that you set your mind to, right?
Absolutely. Because if you can't perform to 5 people, how are you going to perform to 5,000 people?
Absolutely.
If you can't like really own a room, if there's only 5 people in it, there's no way you're going to like be funny to that or entertaining to that person in the nosebleeds.
Right.
Right? Like, so that it's exactly it. It's practice. And
you were talking about Bob Dylan earlier. Besides Bob Dylan, who else is your harmonica player that you look up to?
So not long after Bob Dylan, I got really into this guy's name is Paul Butterfield.
Okay.
He kind of ran in the same circles as Bob Dylan. Like this is like mid to late 60s. And actually Butterfield's band backed Bob Dylan when he first like went electric or whatever, and like this big controversial moment. Anyway, but Paul Butterfield was a white guy from Chicago, and he was one of the first people to have an integrated band, and one of the first people to like really break through and have somewhat of a commercial success playing blues. None of that really particularly matters so much as much as when I first heard his first record. It's just called the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. I just got knocked out. I'd never heard somebody play harmonica with like that passion and energy. And
what's one of your favorite songs? I gotta hear this guy.
Oh my God, Paul Butterfield. Like if you just put on the first record, Born in Chicago is like the big, like it was the big hit, so to speak, probably. Like, and by hit, I mean like probably hit like 65 or something on the charts. But that was a big deal for a blues band. Paul Butterfield Blues Band, if you just look up, I mean, he's got a lot. I'll be totally honest, after the 60s, a lot of his records are pretty hit or miss. But most of his 60s stuff, like if you, that third one, the Paul Butterfield Blues Band full album, exactly. I'm sure.
Can you guys hear it?
No, not yet. Blues music is to me. And like when I first heard Paul Butterfield, like that whole record is just super intense and just played with so much energy and passion. Like, yeah, Paul Butterfield is like the man for me. And then other harmonic players is like the class, like the big one that everybody loves is Little Walter, who's a little bit before Paul Butterfield by like 10 years. But Little Walter, like if you look up, what's his, he's just got a song called Rocker. that's really great. He's amazing. Like he broke new ground for harmonica players. And in terms of like we're getting so deep in the weeds here with harmonica, the career is off of trying to sound like Little Walter.
I've been so excited to talk to you about the harmonica, so you can keep going.
Okay.
Honestly,
No, well, I mean,
I'm super fascinated with that instrument.
It's really incredible. Like it's so there's all sorts of like techniques that have been developed since Little Walter, but really like the way the harmonica is played I find it really interesting because it's a instrument about overcoming limitations, and like because it's so small, you really, unless you have like really perfected your technique, and very few people have done this, you really only have a limited amount of notes on the harmonica. So it's about what can you do with those notes,
Right?
And how can you like really say something powerful with a somewhat of a small framework. And to me, I think that is so cool. I love when there are tight parameters around an artist sometimes, because then that makes them really creative.
Right.
And I think that's the harmonica is a great.
That's the harmonica.
That's what the harmonica, one of the things it represents to me is being really creative with your limitations.
You can get close to like 3 to 4 notes with one.
Yes.
With one, what do you call them? There, I know there's reeds inside, but is it one?
So depending on the reed. So for example, I think it's hole 3 on the draw. If you're inhaling, you can get 4.
4.
If you're really good. If you are really, really, really good, you can play an entire chromatic scale on a harmonica. So all the keys on the piano. And but again, that's technique that has become really popular in the last 10 years, being able to do these things like called overblows and overbends and whatnot. But that's again a newer technique, and very few people have really, really mastered that. But you're absolutely right. Like with certain reeds and certain holes, you can get a wide range. And in the harmonica community, there's if you know harmonica, there's a real easy way to tell who's really good and who is sort of a novice by the way they use hole 3.
Really?
Yeah, you can tell. Like you can definitely like hole 3 is like, oh, how is that person's mastery of that hole? And then like, oh wow, they really know what they're doing based on like what they're playing. Or it's like, oh, they're starting out. God bless their heart, but they're just starting out. You know, we get very, very snooty about the harmonica.
Harmonica snobs.
Oh my, like for serious. Like there's a harmonica cognoscenti practically of like, especially online, people are really judgy for sure. And I won't say any names.
I think that's just the internet in general.
That's just the internet in general. Just any place where people can go and post a faceless comment. There's just going to be judgy people. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh man, I remember the first time I attempted a bend and I did it was just like I was like, oh, awesome!
Yes.
This is great.
Yes.
All right, I can stop playing now.
No, that's a great feeling though. Like, so you already know. Like,
yeah, it's like practice and practice and practice, and then once you get it, and you're like, oh,
yes,
that's how I have to move my lip, and that's how I have to bend the air that's going in.
That's exactly
I gotta breathe with it. I gotta, It's just there's all these different nuances with playing harmonica. That's why I'm just so in awe when I see a harmonica player. I'm like, because I know how much like work can, potentially go into that.
Absolutely.
And if you're awesome, like when I'm a weirdo. Like honestly, I'm a weirdo because when I go to shows, because I love music and I can't necessarily play like an instrument really really well, but I know how much practice that goes into that, and I appreciate it. And I love going to the front. Me and Amber hang out when we go to shows. We hang out at the front towards the corner to where I can just look at the guitar player's fingers and the drummer's, like, his rhythm, how he's moving, the bass player. We are appreciators of music.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, gosh, y'all are doing something creative here too. And I think creative people, even if in different spheres, recognize the dedication that it goes into like any other creative field. Like I think musicians have a really great respect for comedians. We operate in very similar spheres a lot of the times. Like we both work gigs, we both know how to work an audience. So even though like our mediums are different, so to speak, we recognize the work and the lifestyle that surrounds those two different mediums, I guess. So like there's a lot of mutual respect.
Oh yeah,
I guess
100%.
I feel the same way about drag queens too. Like I see like a great drag queen and I'm like, that's a level of talent and commit and like, oh my God, all the preparation that goes into that. All the
it's like transformative. It's like people just think like, oh, they slap on some makeup and that's it.
Lip sync.
And lip sync. But it's like
no.
They transform their face, they contour, they make a thinner nose, they make themselves look like Cher. Like it's like incredible. And then it's the dancing, it's the dancing singing,
too.
it's the doing the splits on stilettos. Like it's amazing.
I went to, oh my God. I like some of the things that I've seen drag performers do on stage in like
yeah.
I don't even know how tall those heels were. I'm like, how are you a live human being right now? It's amazing.
I agree.
But all that to say is like, I think creative people, we should and have a respect for other creative people.
Yeah, we recognize it.
Exactly.
Right? We recognize the tenacity that goes into it, the hours of practice.
Absolutely.
And the hours of planning, and even though it seems, and that's the real I guess that goes into experience when you do something so well that it looks like second nature, and to somebody else it looks like you're just not planned, or it looks like it wasn't written. That's why when I go to comedy shows and I see a comic that just killing it on stage and it just looks so flawless,
it's just
that he goes from one thing to the next, and I'm just like, dude, like that it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to go on stage and memorize something and show an audience that it doesn't look like it's written out or planned.
Looks like they're just going up there and sharing some thoughts,
right?
Like off the top of their head,
right? Same with music, like hundreds of notes playing 4 hours, Slim. That's fucking amazing.
Thank
that
you.
Is crazy.
Yeah, we do it. We do it often enough. I knew that I wanted to keep us working, and I wanted to keep the driving force was I wanted to keep the same 3 band members as much as possible. So I didn't want them to go off and start doing other things. I wanted to keep them working with me. So I just kept booking and booking and booking and booking. And a lot of those were like, yeah, we'll book you, but you got to play 4 hours. I'm like, I guess we better learn an extra 3 hours and 45 minutes worth of music.
That's a long time.
Yeah, 4 hours. That's crazy.
Those gigs are really interesting. They can run the gamut of just being like, oh yeah, we're gonna do this, and it's just gonna be. They're always fun. They're always a really, really fun time. Some are more fun than others, but that just kind of depends on the bar itself. There's one space in Venice called Hanano Cafe. That is our favorite place to play, and it's again 4 hours, and we go there, but it flies by. Like it all of a sudden we're done, and we're like, we could keep going. We could really keep going. If we had more material, we would keep going. But yeah, I don't know. I like playing all kinds of different shows. It's all because then it keeps it not boring. I like doing shows where we're like up there for an hour and we do like 12 songs. That's a totally different experience than going and playing at a casino for 4 hours, where everything is very regimented, and we're playing with in-ears and we don't have any amplifiers. It's just all through the PA. And then that's a totally different experience than going and playing at like a bar for 4 hours, where we're like, there is no stage. We're right there on the ground with the people. And then there's some person. Oh my, can I tell you all the story?
Yes. I'm like, yes.
So we played this place in Laguna a few weeks ago, and this guy wanted to buy us all drinks. Super sweet. And that happens every once in a while, and very, very appreciative. So he asks us all what our order is, like what we all want to drink. And we all tell him. He doesn't write it down. He goes to the bar. He comes back while we're performing the set, not only while we're performing the set, but mid-song. We're playing the song. And he tries to come up to me, but he sees that I'm singing. So he knows I can't talk. So he goes up to my bass player, and he's like, I forgot everybody's order, like yelling it.
Oh.
And my bass player is like, I don't know what to tell you, dude. Like, I just get us 4 whiskeys. It's fine. And the guy says, are you sure? Like yelling it. And Courtney, our bass player, is like, God bless his heart. He's like, yeah, just it's fine. So the guy goes and there's 4 of us in the band. He goes back and brings 2 whiskeys. He tries to hand both of them to our bass player while he's performing. And Courtney is just like, just put them on the ground. So he puts them on the ground. And then he comes up to me and he tries to hand me a drink. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Thank you very much. And he's like, you and I are going to share it. Like,
what?
Like, Mary. No, you can just have your drink. I guess I appreciate the offer, but also like, it's just so stressful. And then that doesn't happen. That happens every once in a while, but it happens often enough where it's just like, okay, this is that kind of gig. That night was crazy.
I'm sorry, I'm playing it in my brain.
Oh my God.
And he's like, we're gonna share one.
Again, all of it would have been so much more
smart. That's a smart move. That's a smart guy.
It's not.
It would have been so much more tolerable if he just waited until we were done playing the song.
Right.
Like, it's one thing to even like come up to a band like in the middle of their set and be like but like while, like, what does he think we're gonna have a conversation while we're playing this song? Like, whatever. Anyway, that was a fun time.
I think, who did I do that to? I did that to, I think, the McCharmleys. We were talking about Angie and the McCharmleys earlier. I did that to Eddie, the 12-string guitar player.
Really? I
think he was like, it was at a brewery. They were playing a brewery show, and we were there, and he was like, and it was his birthday.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It was his birthday that day, and I bought him a beer, and I just walked. I didn't even make eye contact with him. It was just super awkward that I made it out to be. And I walked to the stage and I was like, "Hey Eddie," like he doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know me, but I just said, "Hey, Eddie, happy birthday!" And I just put it on the stage, like super far away from him. Like it was just the weirdest interaction that I can possibly do to somebody. But
no, but see I
learned that I learned putting it at the bottom of the stage because I learned that. God bless this guy's heart because I understand it.
Right.
Like if you're not used to buying drinks for musicians like that, then you're just like
don't know what to do with it.
You don't know what to do with it. And you're just holding it.
Come on, they're playing and their hands are occupied. This man must have been trashed.
Maybe.
the guy that we played, he was gone. Like his words sounded like taffy, like they were just so like slurred and stretched.
Okay.
But I liked the way you handled that though. Like just like, hey, this is for you, and just put it on.
I was like, Eddie, happy birthday. There you go.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. We're very used. I think musicians are very used to just coming up to the stage and like it's on the ground. I know it's there for me. As soon as we're done with this, I'm gonna grab it and drink.
I overthink it. And the last show that we were at was. It happened like, don't people like usually like kick it over? And that happened. You remember when?
Oh yeah.
When who was it? I think it was the Rockets were playing or the Three Bad Jacks, Amber. What I did, the bass player like kicked over the beer can, and was it closed or was it open?
It was open.
It was open.
It was a beer bottle.
He like kicked the can and like it like shot against the. What did it hit? It hit the bass drum.
Oh no!
Yeah, and it was just like beer was just like psh, flowing out of nowhere. I was like, whoa, this is gonna cause an accident.
I've definitely done that for sure. I've broken like glasses for sure. Where I just knocked it over and the whole thing shattered. Like, yeah, that's definitely happened to me. It's I guess it's a hazard of the trade.
Hazard of the trade?
Yeah, to some extent. Like you just know that you're gonna knock over some drinks every once in a while.
What has been the best, like craziest thing that has happened to you besides the gentleman?
Oh my gosh! So the best, craziest thing that's happened to Sugarmill Slim. That was one of the craziest ones, for sure.
That's kind of funny. That's a great story.
That was a really good one. One time this was before Sugarmill Slim. I was playing a show with a different band in a bar in Hollywood. And all of a sudden, can I say his name? Is it okay?
Yeah, go for it.
Adam Levine from Maroon 5 was there. Not only was he there, which, if he was just there, it's like, fine, whatever, it's Adam Levine. But this guy is so hyped up, we'll say. He was really excited. He came and sat down on the drum kit, and he's like twirling the sticks. Let's get a jam going. Let's go. I'm ready to play. And we're like, okay, I guess we're going to play with Adam Levine. We ended up jamming randomly with him for like half an hour. Wow. He went and played some guitar. He played some drums and then walked away. Didn't say a single thing. Just put the guitar down. Didn't even be like, thanks for just walked away.
That's such a Adam Levine thing to do, right?
It was a power move for sure. I'll never forget it. And it was crazy. Completely unrelated. Rod Stewart was at the same show, like just hanging out. Like,
whoa!
I went and talked to him for a second. It was crazy. That was super random. I'll never forget that. It was June of 2012.
Whoa!
Never ever forget. It was one of the weirdest like celebrity encounters, I guess.
So Adam Levine was still relevant, right? Still
that's
it was a big
like his prime
2012.
Absolutely, yeah. It was
that's cool.
Big. I think it was right around the time of like The Voice or whatever.
When he first,
yeah. So it was like a big deal at the time for sure.
That's cool.
That's the thing about LA. Randomly you'll run into a A-list celebrity.
Yeah, just super randomly. Like that was definitely a big one. But yeah, it will be Luca, our guitar player, ran into Quentin Tarantino super randomly at a restaurant in Hollywood. Yeah, it's a cliche, but because it's true, I think. Like you see these celebrities out there in the wild, and it's very it's just another human being. Like Adam Levine was not short, but I'm taller than Adam Levine, and that was surprising to me. But then I'm like, I'm taller than a lot of people, but for some reason I thought that he would be like 8'5" or something. I don't know. Like that's how I picture. Like you see somebody on TV, you see their picture at wherever, you think they're like literally larger than life, but no, they're just another human being.
Well, hopefully on YouTube I look taller than in real life. That's what I go for.
I love that. Absolutely. Well, on YouTube you are.
Oh, cool.
On YouTube you're taller than real life.
I had a drink with Cindy Crawford.
Did you really?
I did.
How was that?
It was great until I insulted her husband.
Oh no, what happened? Wait. What is the tea with this? Oh my God, please share.
I think I've said the story on here, right?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Should I just go back and find that episode?
No, I can tell you. It's fine.
I love it. We love it. People love it.
It's one of my favorites. Yes. Because people can't believe it. So, I was at a restaurant in Hollywood, and we didn't know we had to do reservations, right?
Okay.
Per all Hollywood restaurants. So we went, and then they were like, okay, well, we have seats. It was my best friend and I. We have seats at the bar, and I'm like, all right, that's cool. So we were sitting there, we were having drinks, we ate there, and then I kind of had my back like towards, the people behind us. I was facing my best friend.
Uh-huh.
And then I see her eyes light up, and I was like, what? And she's like, Cindy Crawford's behind you. And I'm like, what? Oh and I turn around, and I'm the type that if I'm not in people's spaces, or I know that it's not like, I'm not going to like run up to someone, right? But I'm also not embarrassed to conversate.
Of course.
So I turned around, and then I remember I had a cocktail that had like a raspado, like shaved ice on the top.
Ooh.
And I kind of turned around, I smiled, and then she smiled back, and then she asked me, she's like, oh, what are you drinking? And then so I told her what my drink was, and she's like, oh, nice. And then she like, we shook hands, and then with her husband, and then all four of us were kind of like conversating, almost like we like, like you go out with friends type of
right,
thing.
Absolutely.
And then I was like, oh, so what are you drinking? And she's like, oh, I'm drinking tequila. And I was like, oh, okay, nice. And she's like, yeah, do you drink tequila? And I was like, yeah, I do. And then she asked me what kind of tequilas I liked. And then I kind of told her, and then I was like, what tequila are you drinking? And she's like, oh, I'm drinking Casamigos, right? Mm-hmm. So mind you, I had just tasted Casamigos like a week prior to this encounter, right? And I didn't like it. So she's drinking, right? And she's drinking it, and she's like, oh, have you had it? And I was like, I have. And she's like, what do you think? And I'm already kind of tipsy.
Oh,
no. I'm feeling like comfortable. And I was like, can I be really honest with you? And she's like, yeah. And her husband's like, yeah, and they're like laughing. And I was like, it tastes like shit. I told her like that. And then they start laughing. And she's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. It's not as authentic for me. And, I keep going on and on and on. And then after, I'm like, hey, can we get a picture? And she's still like, yeah, of course. She's so nice. So nice.
Oh.
And then we drive home, and then we're like, oh my God, I can't believe we like had a drink with like Cindy Crawford and Doctor. And then my best friend texts me like after I was home, and she's like, oh my fucking God. And I'm like, what? And she's like, Cindy Crawford's husband owns Casamigos.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God. I just insulted him in his face.
That's kind of badass though. Like you were just like, listen, this is garbage water. Oh my God.
But they were so nice. Like they could have easily have like gotten like upset and
or
like,
explain
whatever, fuck you.
Yeah.
Know? But they thought it was like so funny, and she still like gave us a hug, like took a picture with us, and like.
See, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's wow. What a crazy! Oh my God, how often? Like I don't know, what on earth?
And I am not one. I'm not like, oh, this is this, and like I'm not. I'm very like humble and everything. But I don't know that day. I guess the liquid courage, like they say. And,
you were just
and
ready
I was
to
just like I'm gonna say my true opinion. I don't know how I feel about gentrifying tequila. So this is my one chance.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my God, talk about like I love it. I love it.
The universe aligned. The tequila gods spoke to you, I think,
My
at that day.
ancestors were like,
Your ancestors.
This is our chance.
This is your chance to reclaim tequila for the land.
So not George Clooney, but the other guy?
Yeah.
That other guy who's super random in pictures. It's always
Yes.
George Clooney. I'm like, who's that guy?
Yeah, so George Clooney and him are on like motorcycles. So the
Yeah,
other guy
exactly.
So the other guy is her husband.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
So they're partners in tequila.
Oh wow.
That's
Now
wild.
Wow, what a story. That's insane.
Imagine I would have told that to George Clooney.
Oh my God, that would have been
That
equally
would've been-
as badass. Honestly. That would have been equally. You ruined Batman and your tequila.
Like you suck at both.
Oh my.
Just kidding.
Wow, that's crazy.
Oh
That's
no.
Was that also in LA, like in Hollywood?
Yeah, it was in Hollywood. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. Like again, cliche, but also because it's kind of true. It's like you meet a lot of rando celebrities every once in a while.
Yeah.
And it's great. My dad met Smokey Robinson
Whoa.
in an airport parking lot one time.
Really?
Yeah. They were super great. My dad has a ton. My dad was like super into like the rock scene. He did Payroll, but he was like really into music.
Did you say he did payroll?
Yeah, he did
Oh.
Payroll.
Oh, that's awesome.
But he was like just really into like rock and roll and like whatnot, and he would go out to clubs and like go see bands and whatnot. So he has like a lot of like different musician encounters, whatnot. But Smokey Robinson is one of the cooler ones. He also met the Doors, super random.
Whoa, really?
But after Jim Morrison had passed away. So he met the three other guys in also an airport and talked to them and crazy things like that. Yeah, my dad's been around. He's done a lot of crazy
Ray
stuff.
Manzarek, John Densmore, and Robbie Krieger.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
He
wow.
talked to all three of them. That's really cool.
That is really cool. Did you know Keanu Reeves is in a band?
I did not know Keanu.
Yeah,
What?
can you look it up?
What?
I recently seen, and he plays shows.
Oh my God.
Like literally, like now he plays shows. Keanu Reeves' band. He plays bass. He looks so fucking badass on stage,
So it's
and he
not
looks
like-
like super happy and everything. It's crazy.
Is he the singer too?
No, I think there's another celebrity that's the singer.
Oh, got you.
Dog Star, that's what it's called.
Dog Star. What a interesting name.
Yeah.
Band. Oh my God. I actually bet I'll bet they're really good. I'll bet they're really good. Hell yeah,
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves. Oh my gosh,
Yeah, there's a Roxy. Yeah. A friend of ours, Honeybee, she goes to concerts like every other day, it seems like she posts, but she went and she was taking like pictures with him and video, and I was like, whoa, what the heck? Like,
that's cool.
I thought it was just like this one-off thing. And then I started looking, I was like, they actually play like live shows.
That's really cool. Oh, I love that. I love this picture too. He's giving like dad Trent Reznor vibes. You know what I mean?
Like he'll give you good advice, but also play a solid song.
But like shred exactly. He'll give you good
I think California, LA in general is just great. We were just having this. Are you originally from California?
I am. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm
cool.
from LA originally.
So we were just having this conversation yesterday where we were saying like a lot of.
This morning too.
We said it again this morning.
Yeah. It's been like
I'm
a daily thing, just
yeah.
Wow.
We were just
vibing.
We were just,
Y'all are both from California.
yeah,
right? Okay,
born
cool.
and raised.
Very
yeah.
cool.
And we were just saying like I feel like people that hate LA or hate California, like I don't know.
one
like, it's-
never lived here before. I think
Right.
we were making the
that's what we were saying.
yeah, we were saying that the people that complain about California are two things. Either they used to live here
Mm-hmm.
and they don't anymore.
Mhm.
And because they didn't like it,
Right.
or they never been here before and they never had to experience. They never experienced California.
Exactly. I totally agree. It's people that like either have a beef with California or people that have never
doesn't know California.
Doesn't know it. Exactly. Yeah. I completely agree. I don't think I'll ever move. And I've been to a lot of places, but like I don't know. There's something special about, for one thing, there's so many different things.
Yes.
One of my favorite, and I guess it's pretty broadly speaking, but there's so much culture in Southern California and California in general. Like you can get the best of a lot of different cuisines, for example, or you can go experience incredible, just different kinds of performances.
Yeah.
From around a lot of people from other parts of the world. LA or Southern California, at the very least, is a major touring spot.
What I love about California is you can experience every type of environment outside.
Absolutely.
Like you can be in mountains.
Absolutely.
And in an hour you can be at the beach.
Definitely. Oh my gosh, so true.
Right? Or you can go up to Northern California, experience vineyards, and you can go even further up north and witness these huge redwood trees and just forestry. Desert. Just there's everything here.
Have everything.
Absolutely. It's pretty special. Especially like and it's not even just a West Coast thing, because the further north you go, like Northern California and Oregon and Washington, the landscape and climate and geography becomes much more uniform.
Yes.
California itself is just this big enough piece of land where you have this huge variety of different climates and terrains. I went to Idlewild for the first time a few weeks ago, which is really cool. And again, that's completely different than the beach, but 2 hours drive. I totally agree. People that don't like California have either never been here, or if they've been here, then they weren't here long enough. Or they were from here and had some sort of bad experience.
Yeah, bad experience, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think also like having like, I think for us too, it's been easier, right? Well, one, because this is all we know.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as like living, but also we have family, right? And if we don't have family, we have friends that became family. So you have some type of support. And I feel like people that come maybe from other states and just come to try to make it, and they get here and it's lonely, right? And it can be lonely. I can see that. But I don't think it's the state or the city in itself. It's just the situation.
Absolutely. It's very true. California is also very like one of the nice and unique things I think that's interesting about like the southern United States or even the East Coast is everything is relatively close there. So you could be, in a totally different state, but you're only a few hours drive from visiting somebody else in a that in another state.
That's true.
Whereas California is like, it's pretty vast and expansive, and it can feel absolutely very lonesome if you're not if you don't have friends or family here, for sure. It's also a really wonderful place to be inspired artistically, I think.
Oh, 100%. The landscape, the culture, the history, just LA history in general, Hollywood history in general is just this whole new other world.
Absolutely. There's so much, so many people, creative and talented people have come here and continue to come here to do what they want to do all the time, and then that breeds a special talent and commitment to it that I think if you're able to tune into it, can be a real great source of inspiration. There's just a lot of, it's also it's a double-edged sword, as they say, right? Like it's of course then you're also surrounded by bunch of people who are wanting to do the same thing as you.
How do you feel about that? That was going to be my next question. How do you feel about, what do they call them, transplants, or people coming from different states to start music or start comedy or start anything in entertainment? Like, do you see it as a...
I kind of see
like,
it.
How do you see it?
I see it the same, kind of going back to what we were saying earlier. Like, if you're going to do it, do it. Go for it. Do it all and give it 110%.
Yes.
And if you're a transplant, but you're over here doing it, giving it your all, I welcome it. I say, do it. Go for it. But if you are, if you're a transplant and you're coming here to just occupy space, I'm saying, don't. Just stay home. Just go back, or don't. We don't need more people just half-assing it.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I see it. Like, if you're here to go for it, go for it. I love it. I will draw inspiration from it, and I will champion it 100%. But if you're not here to do it, then it's like you're making it difficult. That's my hot take, I guess, is you're making it difficult for the rest of us. I don't know.
Beautifully said. Slim, thanks for coming out.
Thank you, Gail.
And doing the podcast. I appreciate it.
I had a wonderful time.
This was freaking awesome.
This was
great.
really,
Yes.
really great.
Thank you so much. So share where we can find you and what shows you got coming up.
Absolutely. So if you go to Instagram.com/SugarmillSlim, that I believe is what we're looking at right now, there's it's just a big shrine to me. You can find, that's the best place to find out about shows. That's where I'll post about shows first. We're playing Mama Lion next Thursday, the 7th, I believe, in Koreatown. And we're also playing a lot in September. And the best way to find out about where we're playing is going to Instagram, but then also sugarmillslim.com. And if you go to our link tree, you go to sugarmillslim.com. This is my very DIY website that I put together, but I put it together. And then you can also subscribe to our email list, which is another really, really good way to find out about where and when we are playing. But yeah, that is a list of shows where we're. Yeah.
I love your outfits, by the way.
Thank you.
I love them.
Thank you very, very much. That's another big part of my getting ready routine is picking out my outfit for the day. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I like it.
I love this song, by the way. What is this song we're listening to?
This is King Without a Throne by Bad Hombres.
Ooh, very cool.
Yes.
I'll definitely check this out.
They are part of our label, which is My Grito Industries. And if you, the listener, people watching at home, if you like it, go check out their music video. Their music video is awesome too. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. Also, if we're looking at merchandise right now.
Yes.
I love the shirt.
I love it.
Oh, I should have. I'll give you all some shirts. I have them in the car. But yes, if you go to sugarmillslim.com, you can see all of our shirts. We got shirts, CDs, stickers, buttons. We're gonna put out some more.
I've seen this button.
Yes.
I'm Sugarmill Slim's bitch.
Damn right. And you can be one, or I'll let you be the decide that you can choose. You're either.
Go ahead and finish that.
Oh no! You can be either my bitch or I'll be your bitch. Whichever way you want to go, honey.
Thank you. Appreciate
Love
it.
Thank you, y'all.
All right.
You all.
Good night. See you guys on the next one. Bye.